Hello guys and girls, this is Tziatas for LEATHERCRAFT, and in today's video we're gonna make this nice little minimal messenger bag. This bag has magnet snaps as closures, but I guess you can use whatever snaps you like. 2 D-rings here on the side for the strap. We have a laptop compartment here, which is gonna fit a 13-inch laptop or MacBook or whatever, or a tablet and so on, or like a big iPad Pro. I guess that's 12.9 inches, so that should fit in nicely too. And we also have 2 internal pockets for like your phone, wallets, keys or whatever. So not many bells and whistles, but a nice minimal design exterior and durable, of course. So yeah, just watch this video and I'm gonna show you exactly how to use my pattern in order to make this little bag here. Okay, I've already went ahead and cut out all of the pieces that we're gonna use for this project. They're not too many, it's a pretty simple bag. We first of all have the sides with the loops here, which are going to hold 2 D-rings, which we use to attach the shoulder strap to the bag. We have this internal divider, which separates the laptop compartment of the bag with the rest, or the main compartment of the bag. We have this piece here, which is going to be stitched onto the divider, and it's going to create 2 internal pockets for smaller stuff like phones, keys, wallets or whatever. We have the 2 big pieces, which are the front of the bag and the back of the bag, and the lid, like the main body of the bag. And with one more piece, which is this flap here, which is going on the inside of the lid, and it's gonna cover up and hold our magnet snaps, which is what I decided to use as a closure. You can possibly use also normal snap buttons if you like for this project, or other magnet snaps, or yeah, whatever you like really. But I chose to use magnet snaps, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna install them using this internal flap here. Alright, since all the pieces are already cut out, we're going to start marking where all of our stitch lines are gonna go and where we have to make rivet holes and so on and so on. So we just take our pattern pieces, lay them onto our leather pieces and yeah, start marking. As you can see here, we have our roll edge mark on the front part of the bag. Here, we just want to mark the inside of the leather here. Bring it up to the edge. Make 2 little marks. And connect these with a line. So we are going to skive down this piece here along the line, so we can fold it over and make a nice edge for the front of the bag. So we made the one line, which shows where the bend is gonna be, and we're gonna make a second line, equal distance more or less from the line we made to the edge to the inside, which is gonna show us until which point we have to apply glue, so we can then fold the edge over and glue it in place and have everything line up nicely. Okay, all of our stitching holes are marked along the edges and here on the inside of the divider for the pockets. And before we start punching stitching holes, I'm gonna fold over here the rolled edge of the front of the opening of the bag. I'm gonna apply some glue to the inside, glue it in place, and yeah, then we start punching the holes and bevel the edges and start the assembly process and so on and so on. If you've seen another videos of me, you know how this goes, so yeah, let's just get started. Right, I have punched all of the stitching holes around the edges and wherever we need stitching holes. What we're gonna do now is use this hole punch, which is slightly larger than the holes we made for stitching, and we're gonna enlarge the first stitching holes on the sides and the first on the last on the front of the bag, like here in the corner, the other corner, and so on. Generally in the corners of the bags, because we're gonna reinforce the corners of the bags with rivets, so to just make the bag more durable. Alright, we punched all of the holes for the rivets and almost all of the holes for stitching. Now there remain 2 more stitch lines to mark and punch. As you can see on the pattern, we have this here double stitch line on the lid piece and the same double stitch line on the front of the bag. These are of course to combine these 2 pieces together. If you use the holes that are exactly marked on the pattern, just punch these holes and you're done, you can start stitching. If you use your own pricking iron like this one or whatever you use, and you use a wing divider and a scratchel and so on to mark your own stitching lines according to the pattern, what you want to do is just connect the last 2 holes on one piece and on the other with each other, and yeah, then you have the stitch lines that you need to use in order to combine the 2 pieces. So just like this, I'll line it up with a ruler, 1 stitch line, next stitch line, and another 2. Just like that, we have our 2 extra stitch lines marked, and we can just start punching and then stitching. Okay, now for real, all of our stitching holes have been punched. The 2 lines for the connecting, they're on the edges, the ones for the pockets, for the sides, and so on and so on. So I'm now just gonna start and bevel some or most of the edges, which need to be beveled before assembly. And yeah, then we can start stitching. So let's just get going. Okay, now let's install our magnet snaps here into this little flap that goes on the inside of the lid or of the front flap of the bag. I have already marked the spots where the magnet snaps are gonna be installed, and I'm just gonna use these back plates here, line the hole up with my mark, and then mark the two slits which are gonna be used to hold it in place on both sides. Okay, now we're just gonna cut two little slits. And now we can just get the magnet snaps and push them right through. Switch it around, install the back plate, bend the legs, and the two halves are secured. Now after the bag has been assembled and we can exactly see where the two magnets leave marks on the body of the bag when we push it in, we can then install the other two halves, and then we are done with the closure mechanism. Okay, we have all of the edges beveled, we have all of the holes punched. Now one more thing and we can start stitching. I'm gonna install the D-rings here to the loops of the sides and install a couple of rivets here in the holes we made in order to permanently attach them, so we can then start the assembly process. Alright, let's start the stitching order. First of all, I wanna stitch in the double pocket here into the inside separator. After that, we stitch the two big pieces together, the double stitch line here. And then we can just stitch on the sides and our bag is ready. So yeah, let's start doing that bit by bit. Right, we have our two big pieces combined. We have our D-rings here installed on the loops of the sides and the internal pockets, the double pockets, into our internal divider. Now, we can either start stitching on the sides and making a bag and then at the end stitching in the inside of the flap here at the front, or we can leave the flap for last. I think I'm gonna leave it for last for this bag. So yeah, let's just start with our river here in the front. A little detail, you might have noticed that the two sides are not exactly symmetrical. The one side, the front side of the bag, is a little bit sloped to the inside, while the rear side of the bag is straight down. Or the D-ring loop here is also more towards one side. You can possibly see that pretty good here. It's toward the back side of the bag. This, I think, makes the bag just hang a little bit nicer from the straps and prevents it from like swinging in one direction. But yeah, I might be imagining things, but this is how I designed it, so this is how you're going to make it. Okay, let's just get started. Right guys, with one more important like step thing to do while stitching the sides on. As you can see, I'm like 3/4 the way or 2/3 the way around. I just reached the spot here where the double stitch line is, which connects the back side and the bottom side of the bag together. Here, before we start stitching after the double stitch line, we wanna install our divider. Just put it in like that. Remember, the openings of the pockets always, of course, looking upwards. Don't install it backwards or upside down. You know, you just lay it in, hold it in place, start stitching with the stitching holes we have and everything. And at the top holes should line up for the rivet, so we secure both the side, the back of the bag and the divider with one rivet, so to keep everything nice and together and tidy. Okay, as you can see, we're almost at the end, and just a reminder, we're gonna leave the last hole empty because the last hole is for the rivet to just secure everything in place. Okay, we have one side stitched on. Here in the back we have 3 layers because we have the bag and the side and the internal divider. And yeah, we're just gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then the bag is finally bag shaped. Okay guys, we have a bug-shaped bag with the internal divider and the internal pockets. And what we want to do now is glue in the flap with the magnet snaps and then stitch around the edge. So we just lay our bag down, flap, lay our flap on top of it, line everything up nicely. And then we're gonna mark this line here to know to which point we need to apply the glue to our lid. So we have our lid marked. Now I'm just gonna rough it up a little bit with some sandpaper. Alright, we have our flap glued to the inside. Next thing is to stitch all around the edge, so we just want to mark the stitch line and yeah, stitch it in above the edges and so on and so on. The way I like to do it, it would be easier to mark the inside because we see where we have to start and stop, but I want the holes to come from the outside. This will make the outside look a little bit nicer. So I'm just gonna feel with my fingers where does the edge start, mark all around the edge using the wing divider, and yeah, then stitch it. Of course, again, if you use the holes that are marked in the pattern, you can just use these holes and stitch. You don't need to do the marking, but yeah. Okay, we have our flap stitched on. Now, one last thing is to install the female side of the magnet snaps. So I just filled the bag with some plastics so that it's nice and full. And I'm gonna just push the flap here on the top at the spot I wanted to sit. Let me see. Let me make sure that the D-rings fit to go outside on both sides. So I think I want the lid to sit somewhere here. We're just gonna like push it in a little bit, and this may left 2 marks from the magnets, which we now can use to mark and make the holes for our female side magnets. Right guys, we have our bag pretty much ready. One more optional thing you can do is to burnish the edges. Just use some burnishing gum or wax paste or something in your edge burnisher and make the edges nice and smooth. And of course you will need a strap for the bag. We're just gonna attach to the D-rings. I'm just gonna make one. I'm just gonna be using a strap I have in the same color for a different bag. But yeah, you can either make a strap and attach the strap with hooks, or permanently just thread it through and use a rivet to attach the strap to the main body of the bag. And yeah, our magnets are installed. They should make it pretty easy to close and open, yeah, just like that. And yeah, the positions of the magnet snaps are gonna be marked in the pattern, but sometimes I would prefer to make it like I did in the video now, where I attach the female side after I attach the male side on the lid and press it into the leather, because this way I'm gonna see exactly where it's gonna land. And you know, if you want your lid to sit a bit more upright or a bit more inside the bag, you know, a bit lower, you can adjust that if you mark the holes yourself. But yeah, you do you. So, thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you made your own bag, that it turned out nicely to your satisfaction. And you know the stuff. If you like the video, like it. If you want to see more like that, subscribe. The pattern for this bag is gonna be available on my website and on my Etsy store. So yeah, go check that out if you wanna make your own little bag. Yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.